In this video, you will learn how one person produces 3 podcasts and 6 videos every week using AI. And I have no one other than Stephen Robles from Riverside.fm with me. And he's produced a ton of podcasts and videos for over 14 years. And he's currently the video producer at Riverside, which I'm using to record a lot of sessions for summits, YouTube and other things in my business. I love the platform because it records it remotely, so it's really, really high quality. So he's gonna break down his process for doing this. They have some great AI features in Riverside as well, which I really enjoy, which is magic clips and other things. So you can take that from the long video and cut it up very easily. So, but he's gonna showcase this, demonstrate everything. So you're gonna get a really good session here. So warm welcome, Stephen.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love to show everybody what we do. And so, the first step to a lot of these automations and using AI is getting a transcript from what you have recorded, whether that's, the video or audio for a podcast. And so I'll kind of show my process for what I do, and I'll share my screen here. And I'll try to do the window first, and then I might do the whole screen later. But
yeah.
But
that's kind of the future, right? Because all these Descript and other tools, they are text-based now, so you can very easily edit. That's the same in Riverside. I mean, I don't know when you guys added this or if it's from the beginning, but now you have it very easily. So you can like, if I don't like this sentence I'm saying right now, I can just remove it very easily with just a click of a button, basically.
That's exactly right. And we've added it, I think it's almost a year now, and I'll show you some of the powerful parts of that. But here's a podcast that I'll record with Riverside every week. So these are all the past episodes here. And when I jump in, you obviously get a transcript by AI. You can get it in over 100 languages when you record with Riverside. Then I can just download that transcript, the text file, or SRT file, like for subtitles. But the power of having that transcript, again, is if you go to the editor, then you can edit just by editing the transcript. So I can delete words or phrases, and it'll just remove it from the actual recording. And Riverside, you can reformat things, makes it very easy to make vertical clips, like for social media, and all of that, adding live captions. But having the transcript is key, because then you can search for it, and you can also create clips from it. And so one of the first Magic AI tools that I use whenever I create a podcast is the Magic Clips feature here in Riverside. And when you do that, I'll just click it, and it'll probably do it in just a few seconds, but I'll come back to it. It actually uses AI to look through the transcript, finds engaging moments, and will actually just create vertical clips for me automatically. Like, it's just this one click. I'll get a bunch of different options for vertical clips that I can then share on YouTube Shorts, TikTok Reels, all of that. And I can further edit them if I would like, but it just makes it easy to then do that. And so maybe I'll come back to that after they get created, so you can kind of see what they look like. But having that transcript is key for creating things afterwards. And I'll show you a couple other tools as well. And so, any questions on any of that before I go to something else?
No, I mean, that's one of my favorite features personally. Like, I mean, I know there's other tools that do this thing, but let's say you're using a tool already. I mean, then you don't need to necessarily pay for another tool that only do this thing, because Riverside is they're adding a lot of these features already. I'm sure you're working on more things, but this one is pretty cool that I've noticed when I'm doing like long form content. So it's really nice.
It is really helpful. And so I'll show you what I then do with those transcripts, both for podcasts and for videos. And so obviously I make a lot of YouTube videos, and I'll try to share my entire screen here. Well, I will show you. So here's like a transcript from a video that we did with Riverside. And so I downloaded a transcript, and one of the new features of Riverside is you can upload content you've made elsewhere, import it into Riverside, and still get the transcript and Magic Clips feature and all of that. So here's a transcript, and what I'll do is I'll just select that entire transcript, and I'll go over to ChatGPT. I pay for ChatGPT Plus, and I also use it via the API in automations, and I'll show you that in a second. But now that I have the transcript on my clipboard, I have these little shortcuts that I use with prompts that I'll do for every video and every podcast. And the prompt basically says, give me a title and description that's optimized for YouTube and SEO based on this transcript. That's my prompt. And then I just, quickly do that into ChatGPT. And you'll see here at the bottom, it's given me a title here and a description based on the transcript. This is great for podcasts, for episode titles and descriptions, and for videos that you upload to YouTube. Same thing, title and description. Of course, with ChatGPT, you can request more titles and descriptions if you want more options, or you just want to see something different, highlight a feature. But honestly, it does a really good job right away. And then I have a follow-up prompt that I'll ask it for if I'm doing a YouTube video. I'll ask it to give me SEO optimized YouTube tags based on this transcript as well in the comma separated format. And so when I ask ChatGPT with that prompt, it'll give me the tags based on that same transcript as the same video I'm working on, and it's comma separated, so I can literally just copy and paste this block of text right from ChatGPT into the YouTube Studio tag interface, and I'm ready to go. Like, I'll just hit copy right here.
So that saves so much time. I love this. And also, but I have one question regarding this. Do you think, like, when I'm doing a lot of this stuff, I'm also using like tools like vidIQ, for example, because or TubeBuddy you can use as well. But for example, vidIQ, you can check it. And also I go to similar videos. Let's say I'm doing a video and there's a few other competing videos or similar ones. Then do you look at their tags as well? And does ChatGPT take into consideration what other people might have used for titles and tags and stuff like that as well?
I'll typically refer to that stuff after. I'll kind of do this first, and then I'll be creating a note where I'm kind of jotting down what I'll be using as the full description and title, and then I can cross-check it with other things. But of course, if there's a similar video that you found with vidIQ, you can copy and paste those tags, give it to ChatGPT and say, create optimized tags based on my transcript and these tags from another video, and it'll create, combine them both, create kind of the best of
very, very, it saves a lot of time, so that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So that's something I do with every video that really helps optimize that whole, like, once you're done editing a video, that whole process makes it much easier. And one other tool, speaking about YouTube videos, there's an incredible tool called Gling.ai. I'm not sure if you've heard of this one.
I was checking it out because before you told me about it, I haven't. I saw when you scheduled, you mentioned this tool, so I was checking it out a little bit beforehand. Yeah,
absolutely love Gling.ai, and so it's pretty affordable as well. I forgot. I think it's maybe $15 a month or something like that. So what Gling.ai does is if you've recorded a video, and let's say any video, you could have recorded in Riverside and you've downloaded that video file, or you record it on your camera to the SD card. I'll usually import that file to Final Cut, and then I'll give Gling.ai that file. And what it does is it will transcribe that video file, and then it does two things. It removes all silences, and it will take the best take of a repeated phrase. So typically if you're talking and creating a YouTube video, a lot of times you'll start and stop multiple times because you're trying to get just that perfect take. And so Gling.ai will recognize that. And so I'll have an example here. Let me make the text bigger so hopefully you can see it. But I was talking about Google and YouTube Music and what they announced. And you'll see here I started multiple times. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to phrase this. So I said Google announced recently, Google Podcast. All this was really starting the same idea or the same phrase. And I finally got it out in the last moment. And so you'll see it automatically cuts out all those bad takes and then keeps the good take. And Gling.ai lets you more granularly control things. So if you say, well, I cut this out, but I actually want to keep it, well, you can just click a button and now that's back. Or you want to delete a specific phrase right here, I can select it, just cut that phrase, and you're actually editing the video from this transcript. But it does a lot of it automatically. It just cuts out those bad takes, and it cuts out all silences, which really cuts down on your editing process later. And then once you're done here in the Gling interface, I can export an XML file either for Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, or Adobe Premiere, or if I just want the video file with the edits that I've now made, I can export that here from Gling. And what I typically do is a Final Cut multicam file, because then I can actually still sync multiple camera angles, a different voiceover file, maybe a screen share. I can still sync all those in the multicam file in Final Cut, and it will keep all of my edits here in Gling.ai. So I get the ease of AI editing from Gling, plus I'll add all my additional camera angles, and I'll have a multicam file in Final Cut, and basically the rough edit is now done for me. And so I just have to switch between the camera angles or add some B-roll and overlays in Final Cut, and it makes editing those videos so much faster. And so Gling.ai is just an incredible tool.
No, that's amazing because you can remove silences in Riverside, but maybe not as
Yes.
advanced like this. And I have maybe later during the session I'll have some questions because with Riverside you get different. For example, with this session we are doing now, we are gonna get a file for the screen, right? We're gonna get
Yes.
side by side, and we're
Right.
gonna get the full view basically. But in Riverside itself, which I wish, hopefully this is coming, at least what I've noticed, you can only do one angle. Like you cannot like change angles, I think, unless I have missed something. But you are the master, so you can tell me if this is right. Because this takes a lot of time basically. If I would compare this to, let's say, Ecamm Live, which is more for a live stream, but you can record too. I can switch with like a Elgato Stream Deck or something. This is not exactly possible with Riverside, as far as I know, with like the simple setup. But yeah,
That, that's
what do you think?
that's correct. You can't granularly change, the angles like that throughout the file manually. But what you can do is, so I went in here to another Riverside recording. This was with multiple guests and a screen share. And you can
Yeah.
see here, the great thing is you can download that screen share file separately. So it's
Yep.
just a recording of the screen share and everyone's videos still separately. And if I go to the Riverside editor, you'll see that there's different layout options. One of the cool things is in this tracks button, you can actually select or deselect who you want to be in this clip. And so if I want to remove the other participants and keep me and my screen share, I can actually still do that. And then the other participants won't be included in this clip that I'm about to export.
Okay.
Or I can still click them in and include them. Or if I want to have their audio, maybe they asked a question, but I don't care to have their video show here in the clip, I can actually click this use audio only feature. And now the video will be hidden, but their audio will still be heard in this clip that I'm going to export. So you can do
Yeah.
that as well as change the layouts to our AI layout or shared AI. And what that does is it will focus on the active speaker throughout the recording, and the split or shared AI will overlay picture in picture of the participants here in the right hand column. Split will keep it kind of distinctly separate where the videos won't overlap. It will focus on the active speaker, so whoever's speaking, the audio will feature that speaker large on this side. And if it's a screen share or a media board file, it will automatically focus on that throughout this clip when you export it. And so those AI layouts, which while you can't manually switch throughout the recording, the AI layout usually does a pretty good job at focusing on what you need at any given time.
Yeah, that's kind of because it's a little bit boring if it would be like side by side, because that looks like, I mean, Riverside would still be better quality than something like Zoom, right? But still,
Absolutely.
it's better to have it switch a little bit, or at least I like the different angles. Like if I'm not saying anything, and let's say you are screen sharing, I'm just sitting quiet, it looks a little funny, on the screen. So it's better
Sure,
to
sure,
remove it. So
sure.
otherwise you have this when you're sitting side by side and you're talking for like 5 minutes, and I'm just sitting here. It's like
Right.
it's
We
better
do
to just
have,
focus on the person. I think that's what I like. It doesn't have to be too advanced. You can do a lot of different editing, different podcasts do that, but like from a simple perspective, just have it switch a little bit, I think enhances the show a lot.
well, and if you do use the full frame AI layout, it will just show the active speaker by themselves full screen throughout the
Yeah, but
recording.
also they will only show the screen, I think, without any speaker if you do
That is
that.
correct. This is often a requested feature, and so
Yeah, I hope
we're
that's coming. That is my biggest thing. But I do like what you said. You can actually deselect and select people, because then you
right.
can, like, basically what you mean is you can create different clips, right? And then you can cut it together. Maybe would that be faster than bringing it into something like Final Cut right away and doing a multicam edit, you think?
I think for most people it would be faster. I think the UI is very user friendly, and so
Yeah.
if you're not already accustomed to editing all the time in Final Cut and Premiere, I think it would make it easier. And we do have some really cool features for the editor coming soon that will make it even more easy and
I
powerful to
hope
do
so.
that.
That would
So
be amazing. But I
stay
know you have
tuned.
improved. You have improved it a lot, so it's great. It's great
Yeah.
for what it is. But yeah, so what else? Like you mentioned how let's continue this. This is great.
Yeah, so the next one is really fun. It's for podcasts specifically, and so let me again share my screen here. Okay, so I have a combination of windows here, and basically here in my Notes app, this is the let me zoom in so you can see. These are the notes that I use to record the Apple Insider podcast. And so I typically have some bullet points just as reference for myself. Also have the links to articles that we talked about throughout the show. And so these are my show notes. And I want to make show notes, both a title and description and a like bulleted list of all these links to include in the podcast show notes. I want to do all of that in one step. And so what I have here is a combination of, from my raw notes, I'm going to actually use an application that's on every Mac, iPad, and iPhone called Shortcuts. Shortcuts is an automation tool, and you can program lots of different things in Shortcuts. But basically, Shortcuts is going to format these kind of raw notes that I had to record the podcast with. It's going to make it into a format where I can put into my podcast host very easily. I'm going to show you all this in a second. It's going to ask me a few questions like, who was your co-host? What sponsors were there for this episode? And the cool part is it's actually going to use ChatGPT via an API because you can actually include ChatGPT in Siri Shortcuts built in. You never have to go out to the website. And it's going to format a title and description based on the headlines that I choose from these notes. And it's also going to automatically create a new note in my notes application, which is called Bear, based on the title of this note, and it's going to add all that content. So that's what it's doing behind the scenes, and now I'll show you actually what it does. So I'm going to select all the text from my note here. This is what I recorded the podcast from. And now I'm going to run this shortcut, and I'll open the window so you can kind of see it running. I know I can't zoom in on this, unfortunately, but you can go full screen AI. You can show the screen. So I'm going to run this shortcut, and what it's doing is it just created a new note here in my Bear app with the episode number for the title of the note. And now it's going to actually add the rest of the content in a moment. Now what it's doing, it's actually getting the title of each of the articles from the links that I had in my show notes. This way I can have a nice title formatted with the link for my actual podcast show notes. And so it's going through every single link that I copied, and now it's brought me to a menu. And what this menu is asking me is, here are the articles that I included in my show notes. What do I want the title and description of the podcast to be based on? What articles do I want ChatGPT to kind of formulate the title and description on? So I want it to be the iPhone 15, maybe the fine woven case for the iPhone 15 and iOS 17. That's what I want the title and description to reflect based on these articles. So I checked those, I hit done. Now it's taking those articles, sending it to ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT for a description for the podcast. Boom, here it is, all right here in the Shortcuts app. That's great. I'll hit done. Yes, I want that. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard. It's going to do the same thing now and generate a title for this podcast episode based on the same articles, and I'm little different prompts telling it to, be shorter, under a certain number of characters, which is a great thing to do with ChatGPT. Tell it under this amount of words, under this amount of characters, and all of that. So ChatGPT is now churning through the articles one more time, finding out a good title to use for this episode, and then it's going to show me a couple other pop-ups in a second that basically have me choose my co-host, and I have different text based on the co-host. So like their social media handles, their links and all that, I'll have it specified for each co-host. And then also if I have any sponsors, I have some recurring sponsors and I can select them from a list, and it will show me, I can choose the sponsors for that episode. Usually it's a little quicker. Sometimes ChatGPT and the whole API can take a second. And so should pop up here in a second, and then I'll show you the actual finished note. So do you have any questions while we wait?
This is I have never seen someone talk about this. I think this is pretty interesting how you automate things. This is a really useful thing for any podcaster. I'm sure there's other use cases for this as well that you can do for like a blog or anything you might be doing.
Right. So, well, and what you can do, again, with a transcript you get from Riverside or a transcript from any of your content, you can then ask ChatGPT or other tools like Notion AI, which is a great tool I really like. You can have it create blog posts. You can ask it for, give me social media posts based on this transcript. Give me, whatever based on it. So this way you don't have to think about all that. You can also say, give me LinkedIn posts, give me Twitter threads, and you can tell it how many.
Do you have this set up? Maybe we can try this afterwards to do an example.
Yeah, we can do that. So here's
this is really cool.
So it's copying the title, copying the description. I shortened it. It timed out. Sometimes it does fail. So anyway, and now we're going. So I'm exporting the title and description of the show. Now this is the number it's asking. How many sponsors did I have in this episode? I'll say I had 2 sponsors. I created this list of different sponsors. So let's say Masterclass sponsored it and ZocDoc. And here, who was my co-host? Well, it was William this week. And so now it just took all of that information, and now I have it here in my note. This was supposed to be the note title. I got a little messed up because I had to rerun it. But so this is, let's see if we're okay. So here's my podcast show notes. Here's my title. Here's my description. And here's all the HTML that I had spit out created in this shortcut. So I have the social media handles for me and my co-host here. I have my sponsors here. The links that I used in a bulleted format so I can copy and paste that into my host. Then I have some text that I include with every episode, things like where to support the show, how to subscribe, where the podcast artwork is from. And then I even have a custom Apple Podcast iframe that will embed this episode into any website and some other text. And now I can copy and paste this HTML and put it in my podcast host, and I'm ready to go. And I also have another shortcut automation where if I need to make it into rich text instead of HTML, I have a little shortcut. I can run it, and now you'll see the rich text, how it's actually formatted in a podcast host. So title, description, contact our host, sponsored by, links from the show, and all of this just a few seconds through shortcuts and ChatGPT working together. And so this is what my podcast show notes typically look like. I have my podcast title, description, the social media handles for me and my co-hosts, the sponsors, any links that I included in the article. And now I can publish this to the podcast. I don't have to think about formatting my show notes, title and description for all the different shows. It just does it automatically for me and just saves a ton of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And you can, maybe as we talked about, the use case for this is, you can do it for anything, like social media posts, going into blog posts. I would assume that for the Apple Insider podcast, you also have some, there's a website where the podcast goes on, right? So not only in the podcast host, but it also should go on, the show notes goes there with rich text, right? So not just HTML.
Absolutely, yeah. And so it's used on the article on the website and then also in my podcast host. And I have a bunch of other shortcuts that format it later. And we talked about, creating social media posts via a transcript. And so just to show you how we do that, let me bring up my ChatGPT window again, and I'll just share that window. Man, this way you can see it a little larger. But here's ChatGPT, and I can take that same, I'll stay in the same chat. This is something where if you're just getting into ChatGPT, it's helpful to understand. If you're doing the same topic or the same video or the same podcast episode, stay in that same chat because ChatGPT will learn what it is you're talking about and hopefully have a better idea of how to serve you social media posts or blog posts and things like that. And so I'm going to take my transcript again, which I have on my clipboard, and maybe I just want to ask it, summarize this transcript into a single paragraph. And let's just see what it does with that. And then I'll paste the transcript that I would have gotten from Riverside from my recording. And now it's just going to give me kind of a short paragraph. Maybe I want to use this in a social media post or description or whatever, but just to see if it knows what exactly it's talking about when it comes to this video's transcript. And so that's helpful. It's a pretty long paragraph. I might ask it to make it shorter. But now I can ask it, give me, let's say, 5 social media posts for LinkedIn and Twitter. I have a little thing there. I guess I should say X. I don't know if it's going to know what X is. So I'll just say for LinkedIn and Facebook to promote this video based on the transcript above. And so if I ask ChatGPT for that, again, you can use Notion AI and some other tools. It'll give me the text for some of those posts. And it, does a pretty good job even doing the little emojis in it and stuff like that. And of course, you can copy and paste, add these later, and really helpful. Even does some hashtags in there if you're posting to a platform that needs hashtags. And you can ask it for as many of these as you want. And with ChatGPT or Notion AI, you can ask it to change the tone if you want it to sound more formal or more casual. You can ask it to rewrite it in those different styles. And as you can see, it's just generating them based on that transcript. And I can copy and paste these, as many as I need. And then again, I can ask it to make a blog post. And I'll have it do that next, actually, because that's pretty wild. So if you want to put it on your website and you want to do it as a blog and then maybe embed the video, you could say, write a blog post that's 500 words based on this transcript. And if you do that, again, it'll do the same thing. Even gave me a header, and then it'll write a blog post. Again, it's a little better than actually just copy and pasting the transcript, because a lot of times the transcript, you're talking about things on screen and doesn't really translate to as like a written word article or blog post. But now it does header separations, it's writing it out, and I can literally just copy and paste this onto my website, embed that video that I already created on the website, and now I have social media posts, I have a blog post, and then even maybe if I want to include this in an email newsletter, maybe I'll take that paragraph summary that I had up above, or maybe I'll ask it, give me a 2-paragraph summary so I can put it in an email newsletter, and ChatGPT will give me that as well. And again, it's all based on my content, everything that I said in the video.
It's 100% unique. This is the nice thing with this. Is not, you don't need to worry too much. And I've seen another tool which I had a demonstration with Julia McCoy of Content at Scale, which takes this to another level. Where we pasted a video from my YouTube channel. It wrote this amazing blog post. Like, it was insane. Like, it was a long form content. ChatGPT, I think, doesn't do the best with longer form. You need to do it in chunks, at least from my experience. Right. And also, like, for example, how I write a lot shorter paragraphs, like Brian Dean or Neil Patel or something like that. They would write much shorter. ChatGPT sometimes gives you a wall of text, which is not as reader friendly online. So you might have to tweak things a little bit more, and or set your tone of voice there so you can change it a little bit.
So what's helpful is that, so I just sent you this link if you want to send it to your viewers. And so this will split long text into multiple prompts because there is a maximum text size, but you can tell ChatGPT, I'm going to give you a long transcript. Don't start generating content until I've done it. Now, you don't even have to worry about what exactly to say. This website, which is free to use, you can enter that long text here in the website, or I'll even do it right here. And it will create the prompts for you. So you put, and this is actually shorter than the split length, so I need to find a longer, longer transcript. But I can, for instance, let me actually download a transcript from one of my Riverside recordings. And so let's see if I can do this, and I'll share a tab, and I'll show you what this looks like. So if I share, let me share this window, and you should be seeing my Riverside. Okay, cool. So let me go to one of my podcasts here, and I'll view the recordings. I'll go to the last one, and I can download the transcript text file. So let me download this text file, save it to my desktop, and let me open that. And so here's a long transcript, which is typically too long for ChatGPT. And so now I'll go back to that website, and I can use the long prompt splitter, and it'll show me exactly what I need to do. And so let me go to that website here. I'll paste the transcript, and then you can see it's already going to tell you, here's the split into 5 parts. It knows the character count, which is 15,000 that ChatGPT needs, so it doesn't say it's too long. I'll tell it split, and then basically it has now given me the prompts. And so the instructions right here, you can see the total length of the content I want to send you is too large, yada, yada. I can literally just copy the instructions, and let's just do it. Let's go to ChatGPT. I'll create a new chat because this is a different episode. I'll paste that first instruction that the website gave me. And then it'll say received. ChatGPT understands. So I can go to copy part 2 of 5. And so you'll see here all the different parts that I need down at the bottom of the website. And then I can just paste that into ChatGPT. I don't even need to think about it. It knows exactly how long. ChatGPT says, yep, part 2 received. I'll do part 3. Paste, enter. I'll go over here, do part 4. Okay, receive 3. There's part 4. And then last part 5. And I can go one more time. ChatGPT is thinking about it. It had a lot to chug on there. And it's waiting for the next part. And so enter part 5. And so now it has the entire transcript of something that would have been way too long typically to give to ChatGPT. And now it's going to talk about the title, description, or whatever I want to do. And because I stay in the same chat, I can ask it for titles, for description ideas, all of that based on those 5 parts of the transcript higher up, even though it was too long to send in one message. And it even knows the host names based on the transcript, so ChatGPT sees it there. It knows the topics that we talked about. And again, it's just going to generate a bunch of content based on that really long transcript. So that's a helpful website. For sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've seen like a few of these, but this one is great because it's free. You can just it tells you already the prompts and stuff like that you need to put in there.
That's it. You just copy and paste it.
For Twitter threads, have you found that working well with episodes and stuff? Because that's quite useful. I've seen like a lot of people use it for, getting more engagement on Twitter, because that could be potentially a few Twitter threads from a longer form content, right? From like a 30-minute podcast or 60 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. You could say, create a 5-post Twitter thread based on the transcript. And let's see, based on this transcript. Let's see what it does.
See if it knows. But I think with X they wouldn't know, because they probably it's too.
No, it figured it out. So here's how you construct it. And look at it. Yeah, it separates it for you, and it will give you the 5 different posts. And you can use this on both Twitter, X, and Threads. Both platforms, and you're good to go. Create those threads right here.
It gives you the hook as well, right? It gives you everything, I think. Yeah.
It'll give you everything. And again, if you want to tell it, I'd like something a little more catchy or more curiosity driving for the initial post, it'll rewrite it. It'll do it. If you just want it to sound different, just ask ChatGPT and it'll do it for you. It's easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, we have some. What else do you do? Anything else for your process? Anything else that you'd like to share that you do when you're producing podcasts and stuff like that? I mean, the imagery and stuff like that to share on social media. I don't know if you create yourself, or do you have some AI tools that speeds up the process for, let's say, thumbnails and stuff like that as well?
I haven't used it as much yet, but ChatGPT actually does have a DALL-E 3 integration. Typically, I've done graphics and artwork kind of manually myself. So there's a transcript, and we're in this chat. DALL-E, create a custom podcast and artwork, custom episode artwork based on this transcript. Let's see what it does. Typically, you have to really, with the image generation, provide it with more details for it to design something that you can actually use. So I don't know if it's going to do it.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, see, it's just talking about it.
Yeah.
I said I'll design. That might have been the problem. Sometimes
I think you need to just prompt it. Maybe you need to do like a shorter one, like for, at least in mid-journeys like that.
Yeah, create 3 artwork images. Let's see how it does. It might do it. There it is. It is going to generate. It's going to generate. Yeah, it's doing it. You get some wild stuff. I don't know what it's about to show.
It's like a surprise sometimes. Let's see.
Yeah, it's definitely a surprise.
Yeah,
but no, I typically when it comes to podcast artwork and stuff, I'm still doing some of that manually, just because, again, getting the prompts right for some of the image generation can be a challenge. But when it comes to text, using that transcript in many different ways, and we haven't even talked about translation. You can actually translate your transcript into other languages or blog posts or whatever you like. Riverside can transcribe up to 100 languages in studio. You can select your language there. But then you can bring. How
accurate is this when you upload, let's say, to YouTube and stuff like? Because of course, if you do that, you can reach more people. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people speaking Spanish and stuff like that, and Chinese, other languages. So is that accurate? If we have an English-based episode.
It depends on the service you use. I will talk about one more AI tool that I'm using more of, especially when it comes to languages.
Yeah.
But here's the images. You know what? It actually didn't do too bad. I'm going to be honest.
It's not all that bad. I mean,
it's not all that bad.
No, it's not too bad.
That's not bad at all, because I didn't give it any. You can upload images now to ChatGPT and then have it create based on images. But this actually did pretty good.
No, for another session I did, we took a screenshot of the video like this, and we she used Midjourney and actually created a pretty cool image of us like next to each other. It was quite nice. So that is a good way to kind of share, and you can share it together with the original to get engagement on social media and stuff like that, which is quite smart actually.
Yeah, that is very good. So the one other AI tool I'm playing around more with when it comes to translation is 11 Labs. And 11 Labs has several tools. One of them is it'll translate a voiceover using just kind of an AI voice. And you can do that. But you can actually, what I'm doing, I'm waiting for this to come back, is you can upload hours of your own voice. And so because I podcast, I literally have hours of my own voice recording. And so I've uploaded multiple hours of my own voice, and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks. But 11 Labs is actually creating a voice model of my voice, and they have said it is like almost indistinguishable. If you give them the 3 to 4 weeks and they train the model and you upload enough time, that it will be very accurate. So I'll have to report back. It says it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks, but I uploaded all that audio. You can also get an instant version of your voice, and sometimes it crashes. That's 11 Labs. But anyway, you can also get an instant version, but it's not supposedly as accurate. So we'll have to see.
What is the cost? It's like a month for, because I've used HeyGen a little bit. I was playing around with that.
This there's different plans if you want to do like the custom voices and such. It's about $20 or $30 a month, which again, you could try it out, see how well, but they do have the dubbing. And so you can upload a piece of audio, select the source language, select the destination language, and then you can have it translated for you. So it does okay. You know, I would say nothing's going to be as good as like a human translation right now, but it does come very close, and it does sound like the language. It doesn't sound super weird, and so I will say YouTube is actually going to build this in early next year, and so if you're uploading videos to YouTube early in 2024, you're basically just going to be able to tell YouTube, translate it into whatever these languages I want, and they'll create an AI translation for it. And so that'll be built in.
And with the voice as well, or just
not your voice. That'll be the difference.
Okay. Yeah, but it will be like a random voice, but sounding like a real human, hopefully. So
hopefully.
But that is pretty cool actually, because cool. I mean, I've seen podcasts now. For example, Lewis House, I saw he has different languages of School of Greatness. He has in Spanish, Portuguese, I think even some other ones, and basically it's not his voice. Of course, he doesn't speak these languages fluently, and I don't think he used like an AI voice of himself or a clone yet, at least. Maybe he will in the future, but for now he just has, probably he's paying someone to do this, like, because it's pretty expensive to hire someone. So I think the AI technology and stuff like that will actually make it a lot more affordable for anyone to do this, which is great. Because now you can reach a lot more people with your content, which is a huge benefit. And
absolutely. And if you can train it on
everyone.
and if you can train it on your own voice and then have the other languages sound like you, I mean, that's
a no-brainer. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you can just imagine how much that would cost to hire someone. Like, I mean, you can probably hire, to have your own voice is crazy, but even to hire someone would be probably cost you more than just having, your own, like, to paying this subscription, which is great.
And then for each language, you're going to have someone be able to translate 10 different languages themselves. And so, the ability for AI to do as many languages as you want pretty much immediately is just wild. And so, I would encourage anyone, whatever content you're making, if you're a writer, podcaster, video creator, these AI tools will just streamline your process, make it easier, at least faster, to do what you're already doing. And then maybe you can focus more on the creative side and the planning, or, launch a website where you start making blog posts based on your video content. I think it'll allow creators to kind of be more cross-platform. So if you're video first or podcast first, you can still have your blog posts, still have your LinkedIn posts, and ChatGPT and other AI tools. And Riverside, when you record with Riverside, you get all those transcripts and everything, and the magic clips, and it will just make it way easier.
For sure. And one thing I wanted to ask, do you, like when you do for YouTube, do you get, with these tools you mentioned, do you get the chapters instantly as well? I found a tool called Instant Chapters, which give really accurate ones. I don't know if you use ChatGPT or use a different tool for getting the chapters accurate, because it's like, so it doesn't get like random. I used different tools for this before. One tool was like summarizing the stuff, but it was not good chapters because it was just too long. So I found this Instant Chapters tool, which I really love, and it's just, you can set it to between, I think, 1 and 10, and it's like depending on how long you want it to be. So it's like the lower, the longer, the more chapters, and the more you put, like, you have fewer chapters essentially. So
I've asked it to give me chapters before and have found it to be not as useful, but I would definitely keep. I'm talking about ChatGPT specifically. But keep an eye on Riverside, because we might be having some stuff for you very soon.
Really? That's incredible. I mean, that you're doing, because you started like what's interesting, I think you started more like as a podcast thing for like doing video podcasts remotely. And I think there's a few different competitors, but I think you guys have been, from my experience, been the best one I've tried. But now you're also going to focus more on I mean, I guess the YouTube side, because YouTube is a podcasting platform, I think. So that's what's really amazing. And it's really cool if you do add the features that's necessary for a YouTuber or a podcaster on the YouTube platform, basically, which is chapters and stuff like that, which makes it a lot easier for people to follow. So,
and there's a lot of stuff coming, and we're also in a lot of businesses. A lot of big brands obviously use Riverside, like Vox and Wondery and all that. But even for things like meetings, if you're holding a meeting and you're going to be doing it virtually or remotely anyway, doing it with Riverside and then getting a transcript for that meeting means you can then search the transcript. So let's say you had an hour-long meeting and, someone had a great idea talking about, Q3 revenue or whatever, but you don't want to listen back to an hour of meeting to find it. Well, then just search the transcript right there in the Riverside editor, and you can find exactly what was talked about during the meeting. And so there's so many use cases, not to mention webinars, tutorial-style videos, all of that done in Riverside just gives you all those same powers, like getting the transcript, making magic clips out of solo content. If you're just recording yourself, you get all those benefits when you do it inside Riverside.
Yeah, I mean, where do you see kind of the future of this is going? Where do you see more? What are you excited about when it comes to AI and things like that? And maybe something you have tried recently that we didn't talk about in this session so far.
I'm excited to figure out the image generation side, because I'm not a graphic designer myself. And so, making thumbnails and sometimes illustrations can be a challenge. I think animated illustrations, like infographic style things, that'll be really powerful if AI gets to the place. I haven't seen any tools yet. I would love to hear some if people know about it. But some tools that can create those animations and on-screen graphics, I think that would be really powerful, because that's a steep learning curve, to learn motion graphics.
Exactly. I mean, I would love to see that. Let's say taking a blog post or like an in-depth video. Imagine what we did here, talking about the different things, and then it would create a killer infographic, which I can share on social media, or I can post it on a blog post based on this episode we are recording here. I haven't seen any tools that do this well yet, at least. Maybe they exist. Let me know in the comments if you know any. I would love to see it, or if you are the creator of such a tool, that would be great. But yeah, I mean, infographic tools, I think I'm sure there are some that will add like AI features, but I don't think they are there yet to actually replicate what a human could do in that sense, to actually make it really good. Of course, there are templates out there, but just something custom that actually generates it based on text to image or something, or video to image, that would be killer.
That'd be awesome. So if you could have a long form video, it does the infographics there, then also makes short form, less than 1 minute clips and the overlays, with those animations, that'd be really powerful. But I'm just excited that with these AI tools, we'll get to focus more on being creative, making compelling content, whether it's video or podcasts, and then all the kind of minutia of these little things like descriptions and tags and titles, or figuring out how to post about it. All that stuff you can offload to these AI tools, and then just really focus on what hopefully you love doing, creating the content, the videos, and you don't have to do all the tedious stuff.
For sure. Now, this has been a great episode. I even learned some stuff with how to automate things with, the shortcuts and stuff like that. And I hope you guys are watching this. You do the same. Try out some of these strategies. Let me know what you try in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Check out Riverside, of course. This is what we are using to record this. Navid.link/Riverside. You can go and, see what they have coming up to, because they have a lot of features. As you heard here, they're coming out with. I'm excited for a few things. I've told him even on this session about like how you can change a few things, but it's a great platform, and I'm sure it's going to grow with time as well. So thanks so much, Stephen, for coming on here and sharing so much value.